We're back. It's a good day. The 2022 fall semester has begun, and so have we here on WCTV. Waynesburg's only national sports debate show, Plead Your Case, is up and running like it never left. I'm your host, Caleb Yauger, and today I am more than thrilled, honored actually, to be joined by Joe Veneziale and Mr. Brock Owens. And of course, we have a whole lineup of topics to talk about throughout the show. The NFL regular season is just about to start up, which means we would talk about way too early predictions for our award winners and Super Bowl contenders. We're also going to discuss some college football and the realignment of the CFP of seasons down the road. And in addition to that, we're going to talk about Major League Baseball postseason, which is around the corner as well. So you know what to do. Sit back, relax. It's time to plead your case. Welcome back to WCTV here on Plead Your Case. The first thing that we're going to talk about is the NFL. The first order discussion, though, is the NFL overtime rules. Each team in the postseason will be able to get a chance at possession of the ball in overtime. Joe, Brock, first, Joe, we're going to start with you. What do you think of this new rule? And it really came about because of the result of the Chiefs and the Bills game.
No, Caleb, you're absolutely right. New rule implemented in this postseason, getting rid of the coin flip, and I love it. And especially, start off the postseason, getting in these overtime games like the Chiefs and Bills, you're going to need that extra sense of, I'd say, excitement to coming into overtime. I'd say they should implement it into the regular season because in the sense of luck with the coin flip, heads or tails, it went the Chiefs' way in that postseason game, but it goes either way with the Bills. So, again, I'd say get rid of the luck, do it old school, college style, go back to the way it was.
Now, Brock, how do you feel about both teams in the postseason getting a chance to possess the football?
I like the change. I mean, like Joe said, it pretty much decides a game. In the playoffs over the last decade, teams are 10-2 when they win the coin flip to begin overtime in the postseason. So, I mean, it's obvious that there is some sort of displacement, that there's some sort of real advantage there to winning the coin toss. And let's be honest, the coin toss shouldn't be the decider between two great teams trying to go after their Super Bowl dreams. I mean, let's be honest. Heads or tails shouldn't really decide that. So I agree with Joe that it is a good change. I also agree with Joe on the fact that it should come to the regular season. Those games matter a lot too. There's going to be a team that might just, tie to get into the playoffs, and they end up just outside the playoffs. And why? Because they lost the coin toss in an overtime game or something to that effect. There's no doubt that it should be implemented into the regular season because it's pretty obviously a good change, I think.
Now let's go back to the Chiefs and the Bills game. I think it is a nice idea. Here is my problem with it, though. If you look at it from this perspective, the Bills should have won the game. I mean, the Chiefs drove in 13 seconds to get in field goal range. If you're that good of a team, you should have won it in the first place. And you're basing your luck off a flip of a coin, which is, I think, it's 50-50. It could go either way. If the Bills would have won that game in overtime, they would have gotten the first possession. We would have heard Chiefs fans complain about it the entire time. I mean, what do you guys think about that?
No, I highly agree with you, Caleb, because we look at other instances in the past. I mean, Thanksgiving, Jerome Bettis said heads on the coin flip, and it was heads, but apparently the ref heard tails. Completely flipped the game. The Lions go on to win that game. Matt Castle, in a game against the Packers, gets the coin toss. We're going to score. Goes down, throws a pick six, ends the game. And a perfect example for this last season, Chiefs-Bills. I mean, you cannot base your playoff win on luck of a coin flip. So, yeah, it needed to be implemented, especially in the playoffs, but I say they just do it in the regular season as well.
It was just a few years ago that the Chiefs lost in overtime to the Patriots in the AFC Championship after they lost the coin flip because the Patriots won. They went on offense and they went and scored a touchdown. And the Chiefs lost the AFC Championship and the Patriots went to the Super Bowl. And we did hear Chiefs fans complaining. But it did not change then. It changed now, and I'd like to think that it changed now because Roger Goodell grew up in New York and was a Bills fan, and that's why it changed this year specifically. But no matter how you slice it, it's changed, and it's a good change that fans have been asking for years, so why wouldn't it be implemented as much as it can be?
That's a fair point. I mean, I will, for right now, I will let it slide, and we'll see how it plays out. If there's a scenario where we like it, then I'll like it as well. But we're going from the postseason. We got a regular season coming up here in the NFL, which is starting on Thursday. Rams versus Bills, Thursday night football, and then the rest of the games will kick off on Sunday, the 11th. Division winners, let's go around. Let's start with the AFC North first. Very tightly contested division. Joe, who do you think is going to win the AFC North?
Call me biased, Caleb, call me biased, but I am picking my Pittsburgh Steelers. They have the young team. They have the young core, new quarterback in town. George Pickens, coming off of a great season at Georgia, going to be a great asset to this rookie wide receiver core. Rookie wide receiver himself, I should say. Najee Harris coming back. Steelers defense at the top. I don't see the Bengals doing anything like they did last year, and Lamar holding off on Ravens practice basically half of the summer. I don't think it's going that way. Steelers all the way.
Both Brock and I are shaking our heads. Brock, I think that you are in clear disagreement.
You asked for it, Joe. I'll call you it. You're biased. It's pretty obvious, I thought. The Steelers aren't a bad team. They're not going to finish with the first or second pick or anything in next year's draft. But I don't think they have very much chance to win the division. The Ravens are going to be a good team. They always are with Lamar at quarterback. They tanked basically last year when Lamar wasn't at quarterback. They couldn't win games, but they were winning the division handily while Lamar was their quarterback. And the Bengals, I mean, I don't really see the drop-off people keep talking about. They're not guaranteed to go to the Super Bowl again, but first of all, they went 10-7, and I don't think very many people think that they're going to be worse than that next year. And it's not like they lost a lot of pieces. They have basically the same team, except with a better offensive line, which was generally their only weakness. So I don't know where this whole Bengals are going to drop off thing is coming from. So I think both are going to be better than the Steelers this year. I
think the Steelers are going to finish second best in the division. I think that the Ravens, like you said, Brock, they look solid. I mean, Lamar Jackson's coming back. He's not guaranteed to win a Super Bowl either, in my opinion. But I think the Ravens are the best-looking team in that division, and they will take the AFC North. Going to the AFC East now, is it still the Patriots division? Or it obviously belongs to the Bills, but can the Bills repeat? So, yeah, no, I did originally, going through my prediction, I did have the Patriots winning this division. You know, Mac Jones coming off a great season last year, and Patriots having a young defense as well. But I don't see the Bills stopping at all. Josh Allen doing Josh Allen things, making big plays when he needs to. And Devin Singletary in the backfield has been a very key asset for the Bills. I say the Bills take the East.
All right, so for the first time here, Joe and I will agree. This is the Bills division. And by the way, I didn't actually specifically say it, but I'm picking Ravens in the North. But for this, I'm taking the Bills. And by the way, Devin Singletary is a pretty good back, but I think James Cook, the rookie, he's going to be their best back. He's going to get a lot of catches. He's a great receiver out of the backfield. And he's a really good runner as well, brother of Dalvin Cook, who's known as one of the best backs in all of the NFL. So they've got a really good roster pretty much all around. They're going to win a lot of games, and I don't know if they're my favorite for the Super Bowl, but they're definitely up there. I think the Bills are not only going to win the AFC East division, they're going to win the AFC. Super Bowl, that's up in the air, but I'm going to leave it at that. Moving on to the AFC West, what a tight division. Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers. What do you got?
Yeah, no, Caleb. I have the Chiefs winning this division, but not by much. I have Chargers and Raiders in my wild card. We'll get to those. But yeah, like you said, Caleb, tough division, but I don't see Patrick Mahomes stopping what he does as well. Chiefs coming off of a big win against the Bills in that playoff game like we talked about. But yeah, I don't see any stop from Patrick Mahomes. I got Chiefs handedly in this one. I actually didn't know that we were going to agree on this one because I feel like a lot of people aren't going in this direction in this division. It is the best division in football, no doubt in my mind, with the Chiefs, the Broncos, the Chargers, all are really good teams, and the Raiders are a pretty good team themselves. So it's going to be tough for any team to win this division, but I'm going Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are a really good team. I know they lost Tyreek Hill, that they still have Travis Kelce, who's really their number one receiver. I really liked Sky Moore coming into the draft. I really liked Sky Moore. They signed Juju Smith-Schuster.
They signed Marquez Valdez-Scantling. They still have Mecole Hardman, who is another big play threat, which is what they're losing in Tyreek Hill. So I really like their offense still, and their offensive line, I think, is really, really good. I love their offensive line, and especially their interior line, which is going to help them run, which is going to open up the pass game, and Patrick Mahomes is going to have a great season. Chiefs win in the West.
Just because the Chiefs, I think, are going to win the AFC West does not mean that you count out the other teams in that division as well. Denver, LA, and the Vegas Raiders, all of them could possibly get into the wild card. I mean, it's not an impossibility. So let's go to the AFC South now. Who you guys got?
Handily, I got the Colts here. Colts in the Matt Ryan era. Jonathan Taylor being the best fantasy running back, but one of the best running backs in the league last year. Have a great defense on the secondary side of things. And yeah, Colts run the South. Don't really see much competition from Jacksonville or any other team down there. I got the Colts this one.
I mean, there's a couple of pretty decent teams in there. The Titans are a pretty decent team. I think Jacksonville is going to take a significant step up, but I mean, realistically, they went from the first pick in the last 2 drafts, so it would be really difficult to win your division after that. And I think the Texans are really like maybe the worst team in the NFL. So I do have the Colts winning this division. Jonathan Taylor, as long as he stays healthy, that's a key, by the way. If Jonathan Taylor's not healthy, I think I might pick the Titans. But assuming Jonathan Taylor stays healthy, he's a great running back, maybe the best as far as just pure running ability, and behind an offensive line that features Quentin Nelson, I do think that the Colts are going to win.
I think the Colts are going to win that division too. I think that the Tennessee Titans could give them a run for their money. And like you said, Jonathan Taylor, he has to stay healthy. That is a key part of that Colts offense, and Matt Ryan leading the way for them as well. The NFC North, Packers usually take that division. Do you guys think the Packers are going to take it again?
Absolutely. You know, Aaron Rodgers coming back from an MVP season, doing a great job controlling that offense. Allen Lazard is my sleeper on that Packers team. He does really great job at route running, making the passes that he needs to. I got the Packers easily in that one.
Yeah, I got Packers. Vikings are going to be a pretty decent team, have a chance at the playoffs, but I got Packers pretty easily, and I'm picking Romeo Doubs, by the way, to be the sleeper receiver.
Going on to the NFC East, by the way, Packers are going to win the NFC North. NFC East, let's go to that one.
Yeah, no, pretty simple here. I got Cowboys. Cowboys coming off a great season. That defense not stopping. Got Cowboys.
I'm going in a different direction. I'm taking the Eagles. I really, really like the look at their defense right now. The added of Jordan Davis, it pretty much makes the run game pretty much impossible to run against the Eagles. And that's what the Cowboys like to do. They like to run the ball to set up the pass and play action. And you're not going to be able to run against Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, Brandon Graham. They drafted Nakobe Dean because he fell down to the 3rd round for whatever reason. I'm taking Eagles.
I am going to go with Brock on this one. I think the Eagles are going to take that division as well. I think the Cowboys they're going to give them a run for their money. But with the Eagles, they have a top 5 offensive line. Everywhere you look, their rankings, that really, really solid line. And quickly, let's just go real quick with the NFC West and the NFC South. Who are you guys going to take for those titles there?
West, I got the Rams. Pretty simple there. Super Bowl appearance for them. In the South, I got the Buccaneers.
I agree with Joe on both accounts.
Rams and Bucks?
Yep.
All 3 of us. Well, that is it for us talking about the NFL. Let's send it to Austin Bechtold and Logan Lepiscopo for a new mini segment series here on Plead Your Case.
Welcome into Plead Your Case's first ever mini segment here on the show, talking about the NFL season for the upcoming 2022 year. I'm Austin Bechtold alongside the new producer of Plead Your Case, Logan Lepiscopo. Logan, great to be with you to talk about a new season in the NFL with new opportunities and all kind of new details as we prepare for Thursday's start of the season.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this mini segment. It was kind of just a drawn up idea. We talked before, like saying in the Mac Lab, talking about predicting the games, and I want to bring that here, but King of the Hill. So me and you head to head. Whoever wins stays for next week's show. Whoever loses, goodbye.
And we're in our NFL jerseys. Very appropriate that with the breaking news today that Franco Harris's jersey will be retired on Christmas Eve against the Las Vegas Raiders and then Oakland Raiders. Steelers, Raiders, and I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit more later on. But first, We have to start with the big matchup that might be a Super Bowl preview, if you will, that's beginning this Thursday as the Buffalo Bills will play the Los Angeles Rams as the Rams will unveil their championship banner for winning the Super Bowl against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bills, more than likely, in the eyes of many, are the Super Bowl favorites, but the Rams are trying to become the first team since the New England Patriots to be able to go back-to-back from the early 2000s. Logan, are the Rams the team that can do it, or do you think the Buffalo Bills comes out on top in the first game of the year?
This is probably a greatest first week matchup we've seen in quite a while. Super Bowl champ, now, as you said, favorite in the AFC to go to the Super Bowl. I'm going to go with the LA Rams, defend their title, win the week 1 game against the Bills. You're raising your banner, and I just think it's very fitting for them to come out and win.
The torch will be passed, and I believe that it might even be passed in the first game of week 1. Buffalo is my team this year. I predicted them last year. Josh Allen, I think, is winning MVP. The stars are going to align for Buffalo, who lost 4 Super Bowls in the early 90s. I think this might be the year that they finally get over that hump. The 42-36 loss in overtime against the Kansas City Chiefs in the divisional round, which created new overtime rules for how the game is played in the postseason. I think this is the first step for Buffalo, and it's going to begin just the start of what is to come for a Buffalo franchise and a city that is just trying so desperately to be able to win a championship. All right, let's get into some of these other games. The New Orleans Saints against the Atlanta Falcons. New Orleans, Jameis Winston. The Falcons, Marcus Mariota. They were first and second overall picks, but who comes out on top?
I'm going to say the New Orleans Saints. I feel like they have the more complete team. Yeah, it's not a great quarterback matchup, but when you look defensively, I got to go with the Saints. Cameron Jordan, Marshawn Lattimore, bringing in Tyrann Mathieu, and hopefully Marcus May, pending his legal situation. I'm going with the Saints.
Other than Cordero Patterson, I don't think the Saints have really much to offer offensively. Michael Thomas is still a little bit banged up, and I don't really know what they're going to have, but the Falcons, there's not much. No. It's Cordero Patterson. The Saints have a couple of receivers, but I still think the Saints pull it off in a division that's going to be pretty weak other than Tampa Bay this year. Browns and Carolina. Browns with Deshaun Watson suspended 11 games. Carolina with Baker Mayfield as the new starting quarterback. I don't think that there's any chance that Carolina loses this game. Baker is going to have blood and revenge on his mind, and I think Carolina wins it potentially by 10 points.
I'm going to agree with you. This is Baker's revenge tour right here. A lot of people think the Browns still have that complete team to get themselves in a manageable situation to make the playoffs still when Deshaun Watson comes back, but Baker's out for blood, like you said, Austin, and he's going to come out and prove it week 1 with the Panthers win. 49ers
and Chicago Bears. The new Trey Lance era is upon us for San Francisco, with Jimmy Garoppolo now being named the backup quarterback of San Francisco, but still being on the roster against the Chicago Bears team that, well, Justin Fields might be running for his life. And who is he going to be throwing the ball to? With the defense of Roquan Smith leading the way, that has 1 year left on his contract and probably doesn't even want to be there. This is going to be the 49ers by 1 million. Not that much, obviously, but San Francisco is going to pull it out comfortably.
Yeah, this is an easy pick. Like you said, Justin Fields running for his life. Happened in the preseason. It's just going to translate to the regular season. Very excited to see these two battle head-to-head, and I'm going with Trey Lance.
Let's get some quick picks. Eagles at the Lions. I'm going with Philadelphia. I like what I've seen from Jalen Hurts so far.
I like a good Cinderella story. Lions coming back into being competitive, but Eagles are definitely easily winning this game.
Colts and Houston Texans now in the Matt Ryan era. I think Jonathan Taylor, Matt Ryan, and that defense is going to be too much to handle for Houston Houston at home, the Colts on the road.
Absolutely. I think we're going to pretty much have all the same picks except for this Buffalo Rams game at this rate.
Jacksonville at the Washington Commanders, a new name for Washington, 3 different names in however many years it's been. What do you think happens in this one?
I'm going to go with the Jaguars here. I like Doug Peterson developing Trevor Lawrence. I think, yeah, they spent a lot of money, overpaid Christian Kirk at wide receiver, but I think they've got all the weapons they need to beat the Commanders.
Jacksonville has been a sneaky team. A lot of people are picking. I still got to go with Washington. Giants in Tennessee. There's been a lot of buzz around this Tennessee team, and I think negatively. We've seen the likes of Malik Willis kind of stepping up into the eye of the spotlight as Ryan Tannehill potentially might be replaced at some point. Maybe not this year, but later on down in the future. There's already tension there as if you don't have one quarterback, if you think you have two, do you really have one? Derrick Henry's been banged up. It is a good defense led by Kevin Byard in the back end. I do think Tennessee pulls it out against a Giants team that is probably on its last leg with Daniel Jones.
I'm going to agree. I'm picking Tennessee. 2 running backs, though, coming back from some serious injuries. We're going to see if Saquon can get back to his rookie form and if Derrick Henry's still the king.
Kansas City Chiefs and the Arizona Cardinals. This one I think is a little bit harder to predict than it might see right off the bat. I think Kansas City losing Tyreek Hill, but being able to gain Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be not an upgrade, of course, but I think it's going to be a different way for that offense to be able to be put together, and Travis Kelce is once again going to have to be relied upon, probably as the top guy. I still don't trust Kansas City's defense, but Patrick Mahomes in Week 1 games, I won't count him out, and I think that they defeat the Arizona Cardinals on the road.
I'm going to have to disagree with you, Austin. I'm going to ride with the Cardinals. Yes, no DeAndre Hopkins makes it very tough to pick this Arizona team, but I feel like Kansas City still has some kinks to work out with no Tyreek Hill. They kind of have to develop a new offense outside of Travis Kelce, so the defense questionable. I'm going to ride with the Cardinals.
Packers and Vikings. Okay, Minnesota seems like the hot team that everybody is picking this year as somebody who could step up and become that new dynamite team. With Kirk Cousins as the quarterback, I still don't know if I believe it, even though I love Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. That defense is also one that is one to deal with every single year and always puts up a tough challenge. I think Aaron Rodgers, the 2-time back-to-back MVP, is going to pull it out on the road at Minnesota and prove why he is still the king of the NFC North.
Yeah, I would love to pick Minnesota just because the team is looking very solid, like they can be competitive in the near future, maybe even a wild card spot this year. But I've got to go with the back-to-back MVP.
Buccaneers at the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. Tom Brady, look, is his head really in it? We don't know. Brady missed a couple of weeks of training camp. Now, this is a Dallas offense now without Amari Cooper after trading him to the Cleveland Browns. Michael Gallup is hurt. You're relying on CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, and Tony Pollard. Trayvon Diggs, who was fantastic in his rookie year, at least interception-wise, not so much coverage-wise. He's getting a lot more praise maybe than he should, at least covering more so than getting interceptions. Kind of channeling his Stephon Diggs with the way that he's able to pick off passes. I think Tampa Bay wins it, though. I think Tom Brady, you can't bet against him. Every time I've tried to, he's proven me wrong.
Yeah, this is another easy pick. I'm going to go Buccaneers. Dallas has a chance. Micah Parsons was absolutely incredible his rookie year. But Tom Brady, even with all this stuff buzzing around, whatever's going on with his personal life, I've still got to go with him.
The Denver Broncos play at the Seattle Seahawks on Monday Night Football. This is going to be an easy one. Denver is going to go into Seattle and win by probably 14 points, 2 touchdowns. Russell Wilson is going to be riding with those Denver Broncos, and they're going to be pulling out an easy victory on the backs of those wide receivers and a defense led by Bradley Chubb that is going to surprise some people as well.
Yeah, you kind of beat me to the punchline, Austin, but Broncos country, let's ride.
Let's go to the last 2 games. The Raiders at the Chargers. Take it away, Mr. Raider.
I'm wearing the jersey. I would love to beat Austin on picks, but because of this jersey I'm wearing, I have to pick the Raiders. I think the Chargers are the better team, but I cannot pick against my Raiders. Week 1, they're going to win. They're going to prove people why they belonged in the playoffs last year and can win the division this year.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth. The Chargers are the better team, and that is why I'm going to pick the Chargers because 1, they have the better quarterback, 2, they have the better running back, and 3, they have better defensive players than the Raiders do. The Chargers will win. But we might have a wash in this instance because the last game, the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cincinnati Bengals. Do I want to bet against Mitch Trubisky? Maybe. But I think that the Steelers are going to go over the win total of 7.5, which I think is ridiculous for people to be picking the Steelers to win less than that. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season, okay? And I get everybody just throwing their hands up in the air because the Steelers have to be, they can't be mediocrity of being under 500, but they also are not excelling to be Super Bowl contenders at this point. Look, you have Kenny Pickett. You got to sit him behind Mitch Trubisky for a little bit. Now, I'm not somebody that claims that Kenny Pickett has to sit for the whole entire season. He's 24. There's no point in doing that. But you ease Kenny Pickett in a little bit. Get him in right around the bye week. Mitch Trubisky's going to start. They're going to rely on the ground game. Major if, the offensive line can block anybody on the defensive line for the Cincinnati Bengals, the Pittsburgh Steelers will pull out a surprising victory off the toe of Chris Boswell at the very end.
Your spiel was nice and all, Austin,
You
but
enjoy it?
I'm going to keep this short and sweet. The Bengals are winning. They're starting off hot like they did at the end of last season. Yeah, they lost the Super Bowl, but it was just a matter of one play.
The Bengals are going to take a step back, though, this year.
I don't think so.
They're going to. They're not going to make the Super Bowl again.
They won't. They might not even win the division, but they'll at least be in the postseason.
So if that's the case, they're going to take a step back then.
Steelers took an even bigger step back.
Logan, enjoyed our time here on Plead Your Case's first ever segment talking about the National Football League's schedule. This is just week 1 of many weeks to come. You're watching Plead Your Case.
Welcome back to Plead Your Case here on WCTV. We talked about the NFL, and now we're going to talk about some college football. The first thing we're going to talk about here is teams are moving everywhere. For example, Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC, Cincinnati, UCF, Houston, BYU going to the Big 12, and much, much more. How do you guys feel about all these college teams moving conferences across the country? Brock, we're going to start with you this time.
I don't have super duper strong feelings about this one, actually. I know a lot of people do. For me, it's like, all right, on one hand, it'll actually be pretty cool to have all the best teams in all of college football in one conference, say like the SEC and the Big Ten have like most of the best teams in all of college football. That sounds kind of cool, actually, because then your two conference champs are going to be really, really battle-tested, first of all, and you know they're great teams every single year. But at the same time, I do kind of like it to regionally make a little bit of sense. I think USC and UCLA in the Big Ten is a bit much.
It's going to be so funny seeing USC kids playing in the dead of winter in Nebraska or State College.
Yeah.
That's going to be hilarious
It's going to be
see.
something.
Exactly my point. Yeah, I don't like it necessarily. I mean, overall, I feel like in the future it's going to be Conference East, Conference West. Both teams go at it. Boom, this is what it's going to be. But no, I don't like it right now. Like you said, Caleb, USC playing at the Big House in negative 20-degree weather. Those California kids, they got a big storm coming, and I'm not talking about the snow. So I don't like it necessarily. And, you know, with the Longhorns going to the SEC as well as Oklahoma, there's way too many talented teams, and recruitment is going to be out of the water on the SEC. I mean, kids are going to choose between Alabama, Florida, or Texas. It's just going to blow college football out of the water, out of proportion. I don't like it.
Not to mention how NIL is going to affect all of this as well. Now, we all agree on that for the most part. Here's going to be a little bit of debate here. Going from a 4-team format in the college football playoff to a 12-team format in the college football playoff starting at around 2026. I personally, not the biggest fan of the idea, but do you guys agree or disagree?
I disagree with you, Caleb. You know, I really do like the tournament style, 12 teams going at it. Don't know who's going to win. The upsets are a big part of college sports, in my opinion, and it makes it more exciting. You know, you see the same 4 teams every year, Alabama, Georgia, whatever. I don't like it. It needs to be 12. It needs to have a good tournament style. Get rid of the bowl games, and a true national champion will be crowned after this 12-team playoff gets put in fruition.
So you're saying we should go to 64 teams like the NCAA?
Yes, sure.
Brock, tell them what's up.
You only see 4 teams. Yeah, Alabama, Georgia, they're Clemson. They're never going to make the 12 team. No, keep them out. They're not going to make the 12 team. It's going to be the same teams over again, and then it's going to be teams that have no business playing for the national championship getting beat by 70 points. Mm-hmm. That's not a national championship. Let them try and play each other so that they can win a bowl game, so they can have something special to end their season. Something special doesn't mean getting beaten 52-7 by Alabama. That's going to be horrible. It's going to be absolutely horrible. In the 4-team format, the number 4 seed almost never has a chance to win. Ohio State won the first year, the number 4 seed. The closest game a number 1 and 4 seed have had since then was 24-7. That was the closest one. The closest game a number 1 and 4 seed have had since the first year. Alabama beat Washington, was in control the entire game, and it might as well have been worse than that 17-point game. It's horrible. The 4-team format you can't even have. Do you think the number 6 team and down ever has a chance to win this, Joe?
Yes.
Do you think they're
I do.
ever?
Yes.
One time?
Yes, I do. Because let me ask you something, Brock. Do you remember a couple years ago, 16-0? Who won 16-0 and claimed themselves national champions? UCF. They have any business being in the national title? No, they didn't. But no, they have to claim themselves 16-0. Should have been number 4 seed. Should have been number 3 seed. Whatever. They were a 16 seed all year. Why not keep them in? They had one of the best teams in college football that year. They go up against Alabama, upset them. They're in the national title. They win.
Because they're not going to beat Alabama.
Didn't you just say that
Auburn.
they didn't belong?
They did. Okay.
They didn't. They had no business.
In this,
Then why should we get expanded?
They're a good team.
They're
a good team, and they won a bowl game against Auburn. That was a great season for UCF. If they had played Alabama or Clemson or probably Georgia, I think that was the year that happened, where Alabama and Georgia, I might be wrong about that. But if they would have played those teams, they're losing by 20 points, just like Cincinnati, who was the first team outside of a Power 5 conference to make it. Oh, they might have a chance against Alabama. They got crushed.
How do you know
just
that?
like every other team.
How do you know that? How do you know that? We don't have that implications yet to see those 16 seeds playing against those 4 or 5 seeds. I love the upsets. Bring me the upsets.
This isn't college basketball, Joe.
It's college
basketball.
sports, Brock. It's college sports.
This isn't basketball where teams can lose any game. In football, if you're just the better team, you're going to win the game almost every single time. Alabama hardly loses. Do you understand that Alabama has like 13 total losses since 2010? Joe, do you think UCF or any other small school team has a chance to beat Alabama?
We don't have the time to list off the amount of upsets that have happened in the BCS era, where it's top 4 teams make the playoffs. I don't want to go on and list all of them. West Virginia, Pitt, to name one, just saying. But I say put in however many teams, 12, 16, I don't care. Put them tournament style. I'm not changing my mind. Sticking to my guns. I want to see the upsets. UCF's going to win a national title in 3 years.
All right.
Okay, Joe.
All right, for right now, we need to take a breath here. We still have a 4-team college football playoff. So,
unfortunately,
looking at this college football season, who are the 4 teams that you think are going to make it, and maybe some even couple teams that might sneak their way into that college football playoff?
Caleb, as much as I went off on my tangent in the past couple minutes, I got number 1 Alabama. We're not in this tournament-style playoff yet.
So we agree on that.
Yeah, we do agree on that.
Yes.
Number 1, Alabama. Number 2, Ohio State. Have a great young team, losing some key players on that team, but should still make a run. Number 3, Georgia. Stetson Bennett coming back as well. Georgia having a great team. And number 4, sneaking in, is Notre Dame. I think the Irish are back. They have a great young core, had a great recruiting class. Irish football's back.
I mean, we have the same top 3 because those 3 teams are going to beat whoever else they would face. But Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia. The only reason I have Georgia number 3 right now, if I was doing the rankings, I would probably have Georgia number 2 after what they did to Oregon last week, which was pretty incredible. But I do think Ohio State is going to go undefeated. And the thing is that Alabama and Georgia kind of have to play each other in the SEC championship, which I both think they'll be undefeated by then. But they have to play each other, so the loser is going to go down below undefeated Ohio State. The winner will be number 1 probably. So we have the same top 3. And then at number 4, I have sneaking in, and I don't know that this is going to be the year that they do it, but it's coming soon, and it might just be this year, USC. They don't have a very hard schedule. They have Utah and Notre Dame. Those are their tough games. The other 10, I mean, I'm not saying they can't lose the other 10. Stanford has a pretty decent team, and there's a couple other decent teams they face. But generally, I don't think they're going to lose any of the games other than maybe Utah or Notre Dame. If they can win those 2 games which Notre Dame is at home, so that gives them a big advantage because Notre Dame has to go over halfway across the country to get to California. And then if they can beat Utah, who just lost to Florida, we can see that they have an ability to lose, even though that was at the Swamp. And the game USC against Utah is in Utah, so there's a big difference in that form. But if they can beat those two teams and win the rest of the schedule, which they definitely should, they're undefeated. And, I mean, who else are you going to put in?
Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia. I have that as my top three. Sticking in there possibly could be Clemson or Texas A&M. Obviously, Texas A&M, one of the best recruiting classes over the offseason, but that doesn't necessarily translate to a winning season. I mean, an undefeated season, I should say. It depends on how well they play against Alabama on October 8th. That is going to be a huge contest there. And we're going to wrap up this segment for college football, and when we come back, Major League Baseball is on the table next for PYC.
You're watching WCTV, where we aim to bring you the best local coverage of what you care about most. Everything from local businesses to hometown sports and the latest weather. We're keeping up to date with what you need to know about issues that affect our campus and our community. We're telling the stories that matter, celebrating our past, our future, and our potential. So tune in for all the latest buzz right here on WCTV Channel 14, Waynesburg.
The NFL and college football seasons are just beginning, but the Major League Baseball season is pushing towards the postseason. So we're going to take a look at some teams that could possibly make it into that playoff for Major League Baseball. I'm going to read you guys odds to win the World Series, and we'll debate it after that, all right? LA Dodgers, plus 325. Houston Astros, plus 400. New York Yankees at plus 450. The New York Mets at plus 500. And then the Atlanta Braves at plus 1,200. Go.
You know, Caleb, you want to throw out numbers, you want to throw out odds, but there was one team. There was one team that you said, and we're going to strike up the trumpets. It's my New York Mets, baby. I have them winning the World Series. They have a great team all around. DeGrom is pitching out of his mind right now. Edwin Diaz has baseball by the palm of his hand right now with those trumpets. Francisco Lindor having a great season, batting and fielding as well. Sound up the trumpets, Brock. I'm going to New York Mets.
Well, wait, first of all, the Mets are only one game in front of the Atlanta Braves in the NL East.
Are they?
Yes. Do you think they're gonna get past the Braves?
Yes, I do. Because you know what? I don't care. I don't care.
What great reasoning. I don't care.
Dansby Swanson and their pitching has probably been the main factor for the Atlanta Braves, but I don't see them beating the New York Mets in the postseason. If they do play, if they do tie them in the division, I still have the Mets going out on top.
Brock?
I mean, listen, the Mets isn't a crazy pick or anything. And the main reason would be their starting pitching because of DeGrom and Scherzer, and then you've also got Chris Bassett, and you've got Cookie Carrasco, and you've got Taijuan Walker. That's a really good rotation. And to beat the Mets, you kind of have to beat DeGrom or Scherzer or both to get past them in a series. So the Mets is actually a really good pick. And I spread this into who I think is going to make the championship series so that I can kind of push them forward into the World Series. So ALCS, I have Yankees, Astros. There's not too many people that are probably going to argue that much. And then NL, I have the Dodgers and Mets, who are the two favorites. So I don't have anything lighting the world on fire there. But I got Dodgers going past the Mets. The Dodgers are just the best team. I mean, they have great pitching, too. They've got a pretty good bullpen. And even though they don't have an Edwin Diaz, they've got Craig Kimbrell, who's been good as of late at least. He wasn't great for a little period there in the middle of the season, but he's been pretty good recently. And if he can keep that up, and keep being Craig Kimbrell going into the postseason, along with other people like Brusdar Gatterall, and I believe they're getting Blake Trinan back as well. So they have a pretty good bullpen themselves. They're starting pitching. If they're healthy, they've got Clayton Kershaw, Julio Urias, and they've got some other great names as well. And they're hitting. Just come on. Freddie Freeman, Trey Turner, Mookie Betts, and a whole bunch of other great hitters. I don't think the Mets are going to stop that, and I have the Dodgers winning the World Series too.
Dodgers with the best record in baseball right now in Major League Baseball. So I want to ask you guys this question. The New York Yankees in the month of August, 10-18, and people are kind of concerned about this slump that the Yankees went on, but good thing they had a good record to help cushion them. How do you think they're going to approach this postseason? How well are they going to do?
Well, Caleb, they really do have to turn things around. The biggest part of their slump is hitting. They weren't getting the bats hot as they were. I mean, Judge having 53 home runs at the moment right now, but on the other side of things, their fielding has not been the greatest as well. IKF at the shortstop position, not doing what he needs to do, and especially when he played third most of the year last year, and Donaldson playing that position now. And with them moving things around, it's not looking good for the Yankees, and the Rays are making their way up towards that division. So I personally would love to see the Yankees downfall. That's just me. But, again, I wouldn't put it past them that they do turn things around. They do have great pitching as well. Garrett Cole has been on another little bit of a slump, but I see that he picks it back up as the postseason approaches. But, yeah, really the Yankees overall is going to have to get the bats going, and the pitching still is going to have to do what they need to do.
Yeah, I mean, they have been terrible hitting. Joe hit it right on the head. I saw something on Twitter a couple days ago, and it said since they're in the month of August, if you know a lot about advanced stats for baseball, they try and make the advanced stats so that 100 is league level. And for WRC+, Judge was about 200, which is incredible, over the month of August, and nobody else was even close to 100. I think Josh Donaldson, who had a terrible month, was at 82, and he was the second best in the lineup for the Yankees as far as hitting for WRC+. So they were horrible hitting. They have a lot of injuries, especially to like their bullpen, which is supposed to be a strong point. It was a strong point coming into the season. Then they had injuries to Chad Green and Michael King to miss the rest of the year. And now they have injuries to Scott Efris, who they traded for, who's a great reliever. Aroldis Chapman got an issue because he got a tattoo he got. It ended up going wrong, so he had to go on the 15-day IL as well. So they have a lot of issues going on right now, which is the reason for their downfall, I think. And I think they're going to have a pretty good month of September. They're not going to light the world on fire, I don't think, like they did the whole year leading up to August. But they're going to pick it back up, rev it back into gear to go into the postseason. And I think they're going to win the AL over the Astros, who kind of had their number like all season long. But I think they're going to beat the Astros in the ALCS, get back for so many years ago when the Astros beat them a couple of times in the postseason.
Now, one final quick thing. It's not going to be a wild card game this year. It's going to be a wild card series. 6 teams from each league, 3 division winners on each side, and also 3 wild cards. Who are some of those wild card teams, or some teams that you think are going to give a little competition in the postseason?
The one point that I do have in my notes here, Caleb, and the division that is really tightly contested right now is the AL Central, with the White Sox, Guardians, and Twins all butting heads for that division spot. And, all those teams not really looking great record-wise, but still making that push into the postseason. So any 3 of those teams, I'm going to have to go with my White Sox. Great team, great hitting right now. Lance Lynn at the bump doing a fantastic job all season. But, yeah, White Sox, my sneaky pick.
Yeah, I mean, the White Sox are the best team in that division as far as talent-wise. Dylan Cease is amazing, by the way. He's this close to a no-hitter the other day. 8 2/3, had that one out to get, gave up 1 hit. But he's been amazing all year. He might just be the AL Cy Young. He's been so good. He's always had the talent, but this year he put it together. He's amazing. I'm picking the White Sox to win that division. Really, as far as the wild card spots go, there's really only one team outside of the wild card looking in on both sides, which is the Orioles in the AL, which I don't think they're going to really be able to make a push. But in the NL, I see that last spot being a real fight between the Phillies and Brewers. I think the Phillies are still going to keep it and edge them out a little bit, but the Brewers definitely have a chance, and Devin Williams is amazing, by the way.
And like you said about the AL Central, whoever takes that takes the division, and really it's going to be hard to get a wild card spot if you don't win the AL Central division. But that is all the time that we have for today here on Plead Your Case. Thank you so much for tuning in. And by the way, Plead Your Case is now weekly here at WCTV on Tuesday evenings. So long, and have a great night, everyone.
This has been a production of Waynesburg Community Television.